the light is bright. Raise your hand if you've ever donated your time or your money to a charitable cause. Okay, I can't quite see everybody because this light is so bright, but I'm guessing that as Americans, most, if not all, hands were raised, right? It's a part of our culture and what we do. Okay, great. Now I want you to think about the last time that you gave, and I want you to think about why you did it. Was it sympathy or was it empathy? Sympathy is acknowledging another person's struggle and providing some type of assurance or support. Empathy is actually being able to understand another person's struggle because you've either experienced it yourself before or you're able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. So basically, sympathy is like, man, that sucks. Glad it's not me. Here's $50. Where empathy is like, boy, what if that were me? What would I really need? I want to talk with you today about giving from a place of empathy rather than sympathy. And I'll explain why. All too often, we open up our wallets or we give of our time to a charitable cause without actually understanding why it is that we're needed to do that, right? So yes, we know why we are doing it as the individual, but do we understand why it is that we're needed to do that? Can you truly answer that question? Let me put this into perspective for you. So one day you're driving and you hear an advertisement on the radio and it's saying that your local Boys and Girls Club is collecting new and gently used shoes for an event called Kicks for Kids. And what they're going to do at those events, they're going to hold a community-wide event and they are going to give out the shoes to less fortunate youth. So what do? You go to the mall and you buy a new pair of shoes, right? Or if you're like me, you go through your closet and you look through the 60 pair of shoes that you might not need, want, or wear anymore and pick the best ones to go down and donate. So you go down there with your donation and you're smiling, you're beaming bright, and you go right in through those front doors, and that front desk staff, they greet you so happily and they thank you so much for your contribution. And then you turn around and you leave feeling really great about yourself at this point, and you get in your car and you drive back to work and you drive back home and you never think about it again. That's how it usually goes. Okay, but did you ever stop and think why those specific kids couldn't afford shoes? What systems were in place to oppress them and their families to the point where they couldn't afford such a basic necessity? Maybe your own privilege that aided in their oppression. You see, privilege means that one group benefits at the detriment of another. So I'm going to ask you again, have you ever stopped and thought that you were a part of that one group and that these less fortunate kids were a part of the another group who suffered at the expense of your benefit? That's a different story, isn't it? Now, make no mistake, you deserve credit every single time you give. Why? Because you're helping and you do not have to. But what I'm trying to convey to you through this example is that more is going to be needed if you really want to be a part of the solution. So when you go and you donate those shoes, what you're doing is great, but you're providing a Band-Aid, right? And you're not being part of the solution. So it's like this. Let's say, let me give you another example. Let's say you're driving down the road on a highway and you see a hitchhiker and they look really, really bad, and you just decide that today you're going to stop for a hitchhiker. So you pull over and they come up to your window and they're like, hey man, they're like, I've been walking this whole time. I've been stranded out here for 4 days. I haven't had any food or water. I'm so thirsty. Do you have any water with you? And you just stopped at the gas station and you're like, I'm sorry, I actually don't have any water, but I did just buy this juice. You can have this. So the person takes it and they thank you so much, right? So you helped, right? They were thirsty. They got something to drink. But what the human body really needs after 4 days with no food or water is some water, right? So the point that I'm making is, if we continue to give from a place of sympathy, we will be giving until the day that we die, and then for generations afterwards. If we don't do more to find out what the root causes of issues are, we'll be less inclined to go ahead and do something about that. Because finding the solution involves creating some type of change, which a Band-Aid cannot do. So I want to pose a challenge to everybody in the audience here who is more than likely going to give of their time or their money at some point, whether it be giving a few hours of your time down at the rescue mission to serve dinner or lunch to the homeless, or whether you're donating some shoes or some money to your local Boys and Girls Club. What I want you to do is to work towards giving from a place of empathy rather than sympathy. Because when you do that, you are much more likely to, again, find and know the root causes and have the know-how of how to create change, and really stop and ask yourself, what can I actually do to help fix that?